we played around with our new EQ for this show. So what's fresh and happening now? The Lang PEQ2. We have some others, but because that's a program material leaning EQ, we were able to, even in the hall, hear it a bit. And you had some thoughts, comments, initial comments, granted, but could you share some of that?
Well, I'm a real fan of the Lang EQs. They're not very commonly found, you know. Yeah, of course. Well, the funny thing is, it may only be funny for me, but this morning I got an email from a great engineer that I've done a lot of work with, and he said, I'm selling 2 Lang EQs. Are you interested? Like, I've never had that email in my life, and I've actually thought I'd love to own a Lang EQ because in 2005, I got a call from Tommy Mottola, who was running Sony in America at the time, and he had just signed a young kid from England named Mika. And Mika flew over from London, where he was based, still is based, and we dropped into Sunset Sound Studio One. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know what song we were going to do. And it was me. I'd rented a drum set. I'd rented a bass rig. I brought a guitar and an amp, and they had a piano there. Me, Joe Ciccarelli, the amazing Joe Ciccarelli, and Mika. And so he played a bunch of demo tapes, literally cassette tapes. And I said, that song, Grace Kelly, I really like that one. Let's do that. And he said, really? He said, I've demoed it 5 times. It's always a troubled one. I said, I love it. Let's try it. So we did the whole track in one day. Everything on it is pretty much first take. I was just flying by the seat of our pants. We had no idea if this was ever going to see the light of day. It wound up being his biggest song. Sometimes that happens when you're not trying, you know? It's weird. But the thing that turned me on to Lang EQs, Joe Ciccarelli really is just one of the world's best engineers, and he's a great guy, and he likes sharing this stuff. We were getting Mika's vocal sound, and Mika's out on the floor, Sunset Sound Studio One, which is a fantastic studio. And they have a 47 there that's been modified by Klaus Heine, I think his name is. I think he's up in Portland. It's a brilliant sounding 47. It didn't need a lot of help. And Joe ran it through his typical chain, which is great, and into Joe's 1073 mic pre, which is the best one I've ever heard. And then he did something, and I'm like, what just happened? What is that? And he said, oh, it's this Lang EQ, which they had in the wall, down low, kind of not even that displayed. I said, what is going on? And he said, yeah, check it out. And he showed me a few different settings, and it's just really like fairy dust magic. I've never heard. I'm a big Pultec fan. I like all kinds of different EQs, but this thing does a really specific thing. So ever since then, I thought, if ever I could afford a Lang EQ, it'd be a great tool to have. And Marcel has been telling me peripherally, we're working on some modeling of some really cool gear, and one of the things is going to be a Lang EQ, and I was excited to hear it. And I'm a paranoid person, and I'm just naturally skeptical of everything, so I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. And I showed up today, and even though we're in the LA Convention Center, we have a good set of speakers here that I know. I mix on these speakers, and it sounds stunning. Like, we don't have a hardware thing to compare it to, but I already kind of know that, like, I know what a Pultec sounds like. I know what an API EQ sounds like, just from decades of being in the studio. This thing really is so helpful. It's so musical. It's Lang EQs do a thing that I haven't heard anything else do, and so far, to me, that's in the same small area code. I don't know how you did it. And so how many instantiate? What's the word? Up to 40. What is that word? Instantiation? Instantiate, whatever. 40 Lang EQs. Let's just go there. And what is that included with? Like, if you all of the Thunderbolt interfaces. So if I update my Orion Studio software, it's there. That's insane.
It's and a little story behind it. We decided to do the Lang based on talking to Brian Vibberts, mutual friend of ours, and then a few other people chimed in and said, yeah, the Lang would be a great one. No one's done it yet. Let's do the Lang. And with our technology, because it is it is hardware. It is FPGA based, mimicking the actual circuitry. So it's not a software plugin when we open it. It's circuitry that's always running, and we're just accessing it in those instance counts. So it's a different approach. It's a different architecture than the typical plugin would be. Because of that, we thought we could do it pretty accurately, and actually had to do the measurements here because the units we borrowed were from El Dorado. So Rob Strickland was kind enough to loan us a couple. We did 2 of them just to make sure, in case there was something not. Yeah, they're all a little different. We wanted to make sure we got the best, of each one, and make sure that they kind of, average each other out. And over a couple-day period, I ran a bunch of tones. Actually, our video technician here, Steve, was there with me and documenting some of this for posterity. And I felt really good about it. I mean, I felt good about just plugging them in, knowing this is history, knowing this is we're preserving these things. Even had to turn the knob several times because I could see on the screen that there was some dust and the dirty pots at times. So it was kind of a real hands-on, which was fun for me because usually doing the sales and marketing gig, this is other than the mastering, I don't get a lot of hands-on in the development side. So this was really fun. And then of course the schematic and the component, we can individually measure each component, which Igor and his team do at the home office in their laboratory. And this was like 3 months ago. So 3 months later, we're sitting here at AES with really maybe the hit of the show, at least for us, for sure. I had 9 or 10 different Lang owners or users over the years come through and listen like you did, equally blown away. So we're really thrilled. But thanks, Greg. If you guys want to hang around, say hello real quick. I know you got another appointment, and over at PMC, at Waves at 11 and PMC at 1. So follow Greg there. Thanks for coming here, and